What's going on, everyone? This is Iris. And real quick, I just want to start off. This is going to be my first installment of that Navy series that I had spoken about quite a while ago that I wanted to do just to kind of give everyone an insight into, what Navy life was like, what it was like being on a ship stationed where I was. But I figured before I do all that, I kind of have to set you up on how I even got to the point of enlisting in the Navy, which would probably, be a good way to start it off, kick off the series. I don't know how often I'm gonna do the series weekly or whatever. I'll do it when I can because I'm probably gonna need a little bit more time to record the commentaries, just because I'm not gonna look to do it in 7 minutes or 8 minutes. It'll be whatever I can speak to it about, and so there may be some that are 10 minutes, some that are 15 minutes. I don't know. The gameplay in the background, to make it easier for me to get these out a little bit quicker, I'm just going to use some gameplays that I can find on my hard drives. You know me. It's not going to be beast gameplay. It's not going to be anything spectacular. It'll just be something just back there. Pretty much, this is going to be where you could probably just listen to me, put your earphones on. You don't even have to watch the gameplay. That's fine too. So pretty much, I grew up not too far outside of Manhattan. I grew up in Westchester, Lower Westchester. I'm not going to go into details about too many things in my childhood. I might save that for later on. So I'm just going to, skip my toddler years, if you will, and get into about, I don't know, 16, 17 years old. I was just a fuck up in school. Just never went to school. I think out of 180 days of school, I cut like 170 of them every year. Finally, I got to be 16, and the school basically came to my parents and was like, "Look, he's not coming. He's kicked out." It basically got to that point. They gave me a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities. At the time, the high school that I quote unquote was going to, they had some classes set up for like auto mechanics and electrician and not plumbing, what was it, carpentry. So they had some vocational classes. I don't even know if a lot of high schools do that anymore, but the one, it was pretty cool back then, to kind of know the guys in the shop class, because they could help you out with your car. You bring your car there, they do the oil changes, they get credit for it, so it was kind of cool. But so I kind of had to drop out and I had to get a job, and I did. My first job was right out of high school, was at a carpet cleaning location where it was a dry cleaners who ran a home carpet cleaning business out of it. So they had a van, they had the machine in the van, kind of like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Stanley Steamer or something like that. Basically, they got the machine in the van, they hook it up to the water from your house, and then there's a long tube with the vacuum, and they produce steam, and they clean your carpets, and we did upholstery and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. Got to learn a lot about that business as well, and uh, got to experience what smelling those dry cleaning chemicals are like in the back of the store, which would get you high. Uh, so who knows what that's going to do to some of my brain cells, which is probably what drove me into joining the Navy anyway. So that was my first job. I did that for, I want to say, like 2 or 3 years. Then the owners kind of split. One guy kept the dry cleaning location, and the other guy kept the carpet cleaning business. So I was kind of stuck in the middle, and I needed a job. So I went with the guy who kept the carpet cleaning business. And the guy turned out to be a nut job. I mean, he had worked in that dry cleaning place for I think like 30 years. So smelling all those chemicals, the dude was just wacko. I mean, just nuts. He was good at what he did as far as the carpet cleaning. Like, he knew what chemicals to use for the stains and all this. I mean, he was really good. And we went into, like, I don't want to say high end homes, but you know, we basically went to a house and it was like 800, $900 a shot. What we were taking away from these places. And I was making good money at that time for a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. But he just got so wacky one day. He went off on me. We were eating in a diner, and he went off on me about something. I forget what I did. I think I left like a tool at one of the houses or something like that. And I said, you know what, fuck this. I don't need this shit. And I ended up just walking home. It was like a 2 hour walk home. I said, fuck that. It was in snow. I remember it very vividly, the walk, just being so mad at this guy. I wanted to physically, do shit to him, but I just got up, I left, food was there, I just left. He was yelling at me. He ended up driving alongside me, telling me to get back, basically told him, fuck off, fuck this, I don't need this shit. And I was done with that. So I went on unemployment for a little bit. It was only a couple of weeks. I ended up getting a job at a pool construction company, swimming pools. So basically, It was for in-ground pools, residential. We had a couple of commercial things, and what we would do is we would do the repairs on the lines and things like that. We did have some of the guys that would do the on the weekends and during the week in the summer. They would go to customers' houses and clean the pools. So I did that for quite a bit, and I learned a lot about construction, a lot about driving bulldozers, backhoes, and things like that. A lot about digging trenches and running pipes. A lot about plumbing, definitely, because we would plumb up the pool motors and filters and all that. So definitely learned a lot. And it was kind of, I mean, I was making really good money, but I was starting to party because I had money in my pocket. I had a car. Uh, you know, at night, I did work as a promoter in some of the big clubs here in Manhattan. I worked at Limelight, the Tunnel, places like that. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but if you Google them, they were great times. Uh, some raves, we did some private parties. I worked some raves. Mostly it was doing promotion, and a couple of them, like the Limelight, I worked security. Not that I'm a big guy, but I kind of knew how to handle myself, and I was small and agile enough where for the bigger guys, I can kind of work my way around and help out the security team, telling them what was going down in certain things in the bathrooms, drugs, things like that. So eventually, during this time, my mother had been sick, and she was sick with cancer. Not not a big deal. It is what it is. I don't say sorry and all that shit happens. Some of you guys have lost parents and shit like that too. So it's just part of the story. So I found out, go back a little bit. I found out when I was 12 years old, that she had cancer. Fast forward now to 18, so she had been dealing with it for quite a few years. And back at that time, chemo was kind of like she was taking some experimental stuff. And she always liked the Navy. She always liked the ships, the planes. We drove down to Norfolk when I was a young kid, and we ended up doing a tour in the base, and she was like fascinated by all that stuff. And for some reason, I was just at a point in my life where I had to make a decision. I had to do something. I had no college. I went back and eventually got my GED. So that's the only level of education I had. I had no real experience in anything vocational. So my really only option was going to be the military. So I looked at a few of the different branches. I decided on the Navy, enlisted. That was back in, I want to say, that was about, my mother passed away February 96. So I want to say shortly after that, I enlisted. It might have been like that next March or April, but it was definitely shortly after that. So I was on a delayed enlistment, so I actually didn't go to boot camp until February 1997. February 1997. February 10th, 1990. Actually, wow, it's almost that anniversary. So, yeah. So I went to the enlistment place. You basically sit down, you take a test. It's called an ASVAB, and it's all different questions on a whole bunch of different things. And depending how you score, they come to you with a list of jobs that you can do while you're there. And of course, knowing what I know now, but then back then, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. How old was I? I was 21 when I enlisted. I was 21 years old. They sell it, and they sell it good. These recruiters are good. You're going to be this, and it's such a great job, and this and that. You'll get to go here, you'll get to go there, and they really talked it up good. It was a good sell. So eventually, I decided settling on a job called an IC, Interior Communications, and what they said to me was, I'll be doing the communications on the ship, like telephones, stuff like that. It was between that, electrician's mate, which is basically what it sounds like, an electrician, and there was something else I call a radioman. I qualified for a radioman. So I decided on the IC. They gave me a date on when boot camp was going to start, and I had a few months at home where in between this I had met my girlfriend at that time, which later became my wife. And so there was, that going on too. I had a love interest in my life. I was leaving for boot camp. What am I going to do? What's that going to be like? So I just kind of wanted to give you a background on what led me up to enlisting in the Navy. So, not a great life, not a silver spoon, not the worst life. I can't complain. Middle of the road, middle class family from Lower Westchester. Definitely not, the highty-tighty crew. But, definitely had to do things for myself at a very young age, and found myself at a fork in the road where it was either working like, I don't want to say a McDonald's, but like construction basically, or something seasonal, or I had to use the military as a means to get further to whatever I wanted to try and do. So that's where I'm going to leave this. This is kind of the first installment. The next one, basically, what I'll go into all of the just a little bit before leaving for boot camp, dealing with the girlfriend at the time and my family, what was going to happen, and then probably go into boot camp a little bit further and how that experience was. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, no real set schedule, but I wanted to get on it. I know a lot of you have been waiting for it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, also Thursday, I might be streaming. Depends on the weather. Depends what I'm going to be doing. If I'm going to be home. If I am home Thursday, and if my wife goes to school, because they might close the schools because we might get some snow. But if I'm home alone, I'm going to stream for you guys. So I hope to see you there. Later.